Morning. Got asked on Facebook if we could just do a little piece about grains on bats. So, do more grains get better performance or better longevity against wider grains? Well, I don't get that many clefs that have got fewer. Even in my grade 2s, I don't do grade 3s anymore because I just do butterflies. But so I do players grade 1, grade 2s and butterfly because I prefer the butterfly. But I don't get many clefs that are anything below 6 grains. That's probably about the minimum that I've had. But as far as performance is concerned, people talk about you need really grainy bats. I'm a bit doubtful on that, to be honest, through experience from playing and making now, because I honestly believe, just through the way I do things, because we're a small company and we're only dealing with a few hundred clefs, I have to try and get the maximum out of everything that we get. So you can see my press in the background there. It's just a manual press. It's not a set weight, so every clef gets pressed to get the best out of it, if that makes sense. So no two pieces will ever be pressed exactly the same amount of pressure going through it, or run through the press the same amount of times, because everyone is different. So something that's got more grains will want pressing differently to something that's got fewer grains. So just as an example here, there's a bat here that's trying to get that in there, lots of grains, bit of colour in there, but a lovely straight even grains. And that's just come off. It's obviously not been shaped up, but it's come off the press, so we've just pressed it up this morning to get that feel out of it, and that sound. There's always a sound as well as the feel for me. Other people do it differently. And within, because each piece of willow sometimes has a slightly different tone, but there's a sound to it, almost a pitch that I'm looking for. So that was like a tight grain bat. This one's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 grains, a little bit wider. Okay. Again, just off the press, not shaped up. And it still pings. It's still, just pinging and touching the ceiling as I ping them. So performance-wise, if they are pressed properly and pressed differently, I think you're going to get performance out of, or should get performance out of, a bat with any grains. Obviously, if you start going down to sort of 4 grains in a bat, having not worked with anything with that fewer grains, I couldn't honestly say, but I still reckon I'd be able to get a good bat out of it. I'd back myself to do that. But, with the willow that I work with, I say 6 is probably the worst that we get, which tends to be in a grade 2. Sometimes you might get a 6 running down to 5 by the time you've got it down to width. But if they're pressed according to that piece of willow, I think you get the performance. Longevity, well, loads of grains have never really bothered me in bats. The ones that, I'll just take them inside actually, there was one I posted on Facebook a couple of days ago, rehandle and clean up, and that had got loads of grains, but it was in fantastic nick, just a few little dinks here and there, but it had a lot of use. So I think a lot of that is down to how people look after the bats. People do tend to abuse them a little bit these days. They don't look after stuff quite as much as they used to. It's just a little bit more of a disposable society, I suppose. But But also another thing, as a player, coach and bat maker, is I can see people who bring bats in and say, well, this is what I've been using, can we make up something similar? I can look at a bat with club cricketers. It's easier with club cricketers than it is with professional cricketers. But I can look at a bat and pretty much work out how they play by looking at it. You see where the damage is on the bat, you know, where the big strike points are. So it gives you an idea of, you know, is that bat coming down straight on a regular basis? Does it hit inside out, outside in? So the way a player uses a bat, I think, has a big effect, and particularly nowadays with 2020 cricket, because the judgment that people are showing now is quite poor for Yorker length balls. So people will blow toes quite easily, cheaper balls as well, because they're trying to hit Yorkers out the ground. Well, a Yorker's a Yorker, whatever standard you play. If you get a good Yorker, you can't hit it out of the ground. You know, you're silly trying to. So you want to keep it out. But people are just trying to hit the ball as far as they can, and that is detrimental to any piece of willow. So I hope that makes sense. Like I say, you know, grains, I personally feel if they're pressed properly to that piece of willow, you should get good performance out of most pieces of wood. I certainly try and do that because I've got to utilise every piece that I have in here, because we don't deal in thousands of pieces going through the workshop, it's just hundreds. And I wouldn't get too hung up on grains, but if it's something that catches your eye, then go with it. If it feels nice and it's shaped up and picks up nicely at the end of the day, it's a goer. It doesn't matter about the shape or anything like that. If that piece of wood pings, you grab it. I hope that clears a few questions up.